Pop on my screen, Fran.
Oh, we got a whole intro.
Let's see some stuff.
There he is.
There we go.
What's up, Fran?
What's up, guys?
All right,
Yeah,
Fran.
it's,
Hold on, Fran. Hold on. This is your first time on our show, yes?
This is the first time.
Oh, yeah.
We have standards on our show.
Yep.
Okay.
We have rules on our show.
No, it's not a rule.
It's a rule.
Okay.
It's a rule that we have on our show. Okay. You're rocking a hoodie today. Are you raw dogging? Are you raw dogging under the hoodie, or do you have some sort of shirt underneath your hoodie, and you reveal it by pulling the front of your hoodie down and letting us see? Are you raw dogging? Oh, yes!
Raw dog!
Yes!
Raw dog!
Justice!
Okay. To be fair,
I'm with Pop on this one.
Oh!
Wait, Pop, are you raw dogging?
No, I'm not.
We
I got you, though. I feel you.
public shame Pop. We're gonna public shame
No,
you
man,
into
we
no
good.
longer raw dogging your hoodies, and you're in a cold place. You should want layers on under your hoodie. You're just around raw dogging.
No, he's at the house though. At the house, I do think that's okay.
No. He's raw
Jesse,
dogging
let me take
anywhere
you
is not appropriate, especially when you come live on air with us.
No, so Jesse, let me take you through it, right? So we had like some snow on the ground. It fell all, last night. So I went out and shoveled in layers this morning. You sweat through that stuff. You gotta get cleaned up. I know I'm coming on. Let me get my All-City hoodie, get out of the sweaty stuff. Now I'm comfortable, and I'm ready to talk with you guys. So a little bit different than how it operated early this morning.
Nice.
Let the man live.
We don't take excuses on our show.
Let the man
You
live.
don't raw dog the hoodie.
Fran,
throw
you
on a
do
t-shirt.
you.
Do you,
And
Fran?
no,
you
There's
do
no
you.
rules, baby.
No raw
Do you.
dogging.
Guys,
No
we got-
raw dogging.
We
Let's
got stuff to get
That's
to.
all right. We're having fun.
Fran, tough break for the Eagles this year. Winning the Super Bowl means they'll have to pick 32nd in the draft, and that's a terrible draft pick. So bad year for the Eagles, much better for the Cowboys, who get to pick in the top 12. When you look at that spot, we've debated, we probably talked about Ashton, Jeanty the most, but when you're looking at 12 or when you're playing with mock drafts, to me, this is like the most unpredictable year unless you just want to give them Jeanty because of the way that the talent is distributed in this thing. But your gut, what are the Cowboys looking at, or do you think they should be looking at around there?
Yeah, I think overall, and look, we get a little bit of clarity when we get to the combine. You start talking with people. That's where like the group think starts to come into play a little bit from all the media types that talk with the people that are inside buildings. And you start to get a sense of, okay, this is how the top 10, top 15, top 20 is going to start to lay out a little bit. Jeff, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This one is going to be a really tough round to predict. It's a bad year, honestly, to have a top 10, top 15 type of selection, just because there's that top of this draft is just a little bit thin in terms of like the true blue chip talent. Now, when you get down to 12, when you get down to 15, it starts to normalize a little bit. But if you're at the very top of this draft, you're picking 7. You're not picking a player that you typically would see at 7 overall in a typical draft. To me, it's more the case this year than any other year that I've been covering it, where, you look at Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. He's a good player, really good player. If you're comparing him to Jalen Carter when Jalen Carter's coming out, or Quinnen Williams when Quinnen Williams is coming out, I'm taking those other guys every single day. I would say the same thing about Will Campbell. I would say the same about Abdul Carter. You go down the list, all these other players, good players, but ideally not someone you're taking in the top 5, top 6, top 7. Like I said, once you start to get to where the Cowboys are, it does start to normalize a little bit. But I think when you're looking at where the Cowboys sit right now at 12, you're right in the thick of D-line country in this draft. I think you're in the thick of offensive tackle country in this draft. Certainly Ashton Jeanty is going to be a topic of conversation for everybody. But I think when you look at this group, that's kind of the definition of this draft. It's more of a meat and potatoes type of draft where it's line of scrimmage. The tight end class is really good. The running back class is really good. I do like a lot of the DBs in this class as well. But if you're looking for like quarterback, wide receiver, it's just a little bit thinner than what we've seen in recent years.
Ashton Jeanty is a big topic. Certainly, we've talked about it. Certainly, it's a need for the Cowboys. Certainly, we talk about the value of a running back, and where do you put him as far as the value of a running back and where he fits in this draft? Is he a top 3, top 5 special talent that if he's at 12, and I know you said defensive tackle, offensive tackle, these guys are where they are this year, but they're not necessarily where they would be like Jalen Carter in other years. Is Ashton Jeanty a guy that you can't pass up because he is supposed to be a special talent in this draft?
Yeah, Clarence, I do view him as a special talent and a guy. When I remember watching him for the first time in the summer and saying, like, what am I missing here? Why are there are no holes to this guy's game? I think there's certainly some untapped potential in the pass game. You see the flashes of it with what he can do vertically down the field as a runner. I mean, he creates yardage as well as anybody that I've evaluated. He's not as explosive as Saquon was coming out of Penn State a few years back, but I think when you look at what he can do as a runner, he's a foundation weapon for an NFL offense. And so now the way that I've talked about this often with friends and with colleagues and with people around the industry has been, so often this spring, we're going to be couching every statement with in this class, right? And that's kind of how. And so when I look at Ashton Jeanty, I would say, normally if I were looking at the Cowboys and some of the holes that they have on this roster, what it could look like this offseason if they don't dive deep into the free agency waters and they let guys go the way that they did last year. If Osa walks out the door, Chauncey Golston, you start going through guys that made such an impact for that roster this year. If a bunch of those guys leave and they don't bring in reinforcements, it's going to be tough to argue for Ashton Jeanty. But then when I look at the rest of this class and how players stack up, chances are he would be the best player on the board. But now it's just a matter, are you going to get the ROI on that? And you start getting into like the Saquon in New York conversation. It's like, all right, you have a great running back, but without all the rest of the supporting cast, what does that mean? And I know you guys have been down this path in the past. So it's not a new conversation for Cowboys fans. But
it means that you bring them back after you cut them. For fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fran, I've been as much an Ashton Jeanty guy as there is for the Cowboys, but watching that Super Bowl win, it got me thinking about potentially going, you know what, maybe you do have to reach for someone if, a Mason Graham is gone. Maybe go get a Walter Nolan or something. But then I also look at the Eagles' defensive line. I see Jalix Hunt, not a first-round pick. Josh Sweat, not a first-round pick. Guys that could be found later. Is there hope that the Cowboys might not have to reach for a defensive lineman, but could actually get some guys that could make an instant impact in round 2, 3, 4, and beyond?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely within the realm of possibility here. I think when you look at the depth along the defensive line, especially on the interior, this is a really strong year for interior linemen. So there's a chance that, and this is when you look at the Cowboys, the two guys I just listed, Chauncey Golston, he was a 4th or 5th round pick. Osa Odigizua was a 3rd round pick out of UCLA, right? So I think when you're looking at where they have had success in this draft, it hasn't necessarily been at the top with guys like Mozzie, but when you look at some of these other guys, I mean, they've been able to find those players in the middle rounds. This is a talent-rich draft at that position in the middle rounds. And so in theory, you should be able to find those guys. Now, I would say the same thing about running back. This is a talent-rich running back crew as well. So you've got Ashton Jeanty at the top, but I love what I've seen from every tier along the way. When you're looking at that next tier with Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, with Caleb Johnson from Iowa, and you start going down that list. All right, who are the guys you can get in round 3? Who are the guys you can get in round 4? There are a lot of really intriguing talents at that position as well. So now you start having those conversations of, all right, would you rather have this D tackle in round 1 with Caleb Johnson in round 2, or would you rather have Ashton Jeanty with Deion Walker, defensive tackle from Kentucky in round 2, right? And you start having those conversations and start to, kind of hash those things out. Those are conversations, not just in Dallas, but I think around the league, you're going to get a lot of that in this class.
So Fran is our draft guy for ALLCITY and has an incredible, it's not a document, it's a whole interactive empire to exist in that you can go through and see all of his rankings for the different position groups and scouting reports and stuff. And my favorite thing about it is you can tell when you look at people's things who is group thinking and who is doing this. And you are doing this. And it makes me want to pitch an idea on air for some sort of behind the diehard content wall long form to fight you about prospects, because I love that yours don't look like everybody else's. And I think that's awesome. So thanks for joining us, and we love you, and we could fight later.
We can have that conversation all day, because you know what it is, man? Like, how often do we have we're going to see these pieces this week where it's, let's rehash the 2024 draft and have all these guys go in different orders than what they did 10 months ago, 8 months ago. And it's like, all right, well, you guys kill analysts that, go outside the group think, because we know like there are going to be great players in round 2 and round 3 and round 4. So it's, to me, like I have never been someone that, I'm going to move this guy up because everyone thinks he's that good.
Right.
We'll have that conversation plenty here this spring, Jeff.
All right, Fran Duffy, thank you so much. We'll catch you next week. We're going to do this every week at this time, so we'll catch you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.